You know, in the world of open source tech, some rivalries just become legendary. And they're not just about features or who's faster. They're about big ideas. Today, we're going to dive into one of the most important battles that really shaped the modern web, the clash between MySQL and PostgreSQL.
And this quote, man, it just nails it. This whole story isn't just about lines of code or query speeds. It's about two totally different philosophies, two completely distinct communities, and two competing visions for what a database should even be.
All right, so to really get this rivalry, we have to go back, let's say, to the 2000s. Open source was just exploding, and in the database world, two major players were starting to rise above all the noise.
So on one side, you've got MySQL. It popped up in the mid-90s with a laser focus on one thing, being simple and fast, especially for this new booming thing called the web. And on the other side, you've got PostgreSQL. It came from a totally different background, an academic project at UC Berkeley. And it was built around this idea of following the rules, of standards and data correctness above everything else. But here's the thing. They were both aiming at the same target, the big commercial giants like Oracle and Microsoft.
And that difference in their origin stories? Well, it led directly to the core philosophical fight that would define them for years. It was a classic showdown, really. Pragmatism versus purity.
This is where you really see the battle lines being drawn. The MySQL camp was all about speed and simplicity. The goal was, let's get things working and let's get them working fast for the web, even if that meant bending some of the official SQL rules. Think about its early storage engine, MySQL. It gave up fancy features like transactions just for raw read speed. But the Postgres community? Totally different mindset. They prioritize correctness. They were building this powerful, robust system that just refused to cut corners, implementing super sophisticated features right from the start to handle complex data safely.
So as you can imagine, these opposing philosophies didn't just attract different kinds of users. They created entirely different ecosystems, each carving out its own territory in the tech landscape.
And MySQL's approach? Oh man, it was the perfect match for the chaotic, fast-moving world of early web development. Developers needed something easy to set up, something wicked fast for websites that were mostly just being read, and something that didn't have the crazy complexity or cost of those big enterprise databases.
And its success was just massive. We're talking about the titans of the early web here. Wikipedia, the very first versions of Facebook, the entire WordPress ecosystem, all built on MySQL. It literally became the M in the famous LAMP stack, which was the open source combo that powered a huge chunk of the internet. Meanwhile, PostgreSQL was on a completely different path. It might not have had that same explosive mainstream popularity at first, but it was quietly becoming the trusted choice for developers and companies that absolutely could not afford to make a mistake.
You see, engineers they respected Postgres for its technical integrity. Its strict compliance with the rules meant your queries would work exactly like you expected them to. Its advanced transaction support meant you could trust it with your financial data, with mission-critical stuff. It was seen as the reliable, the powerful, the serious option.
And that was the cultural divide that formed. If you went into the forums or to conferences, the battle lines were drawn. Were you in the camp that just wanted to get a website up and running quickly? Or were you in the camp that valued architectural purity and data integrity above all else?
But just as these identities were really getting locked in, the story takes this dramatic turn. The world of corporate acquisitions got involved, and it was about to change the game for one of these projects forever.
So check this out. MySQL's path got, well, complicated. It started as a community project, then it got bought by Sun Microsystems. Then, in a move that sent shockwaves through the entire open-source world, it was acquired by its biggest commercial rival, Oracle. People were genuinely scared about its future. And PostgreSQL? In stark contrast, it stayed fiercely independent. It was community-driven, with no single company ever taking control.
So after all those years of philosophical clashes, community debates, and all that corporate drama, where did that leave them? Well, ultimately, their rivalry pushed both of them to get better. And together, they built this incredible shared legacy.
Their ultimate impact was just undeniable. MySQL absolutely succeeded in becoming the most widely used open-source database for the web, and PostgreSQL became the go-to choice for big companies that needed rock-solid reliability. But their combined impact? That was the most profound part. Together, they proved that open-source databases weren't just toys for hobbyists. They were a credible, powerful alternative to the commercial giants. When you boil it all down, it comes back to this. This was never just a technical competition. It was a fundamental disagreement over what matters most when you're building something. Do you prioritize making it easy and accessible, or do you prioritize making it perfectly? Absolutely right.
This whole rivalry proved that both of those values have a place, for sure. But as we look at the technology being built today, it's a question that's absolutely worth asking. In this constant tug-of-war between moving fast and getting it right, which value do you think will ultimately win out and define the tools of our future?